Yeah, so I work on Open Congress, and Open Congress is a lot more than just a blog. I spend a lot of my time blogging, as David was saying, but it's a big site. It's a first of all, it's an open source, not-for-profit, free for anyone to use legislative resource that takes official data on Congress and puts it up alongside news and blog coverage, social networking tools, and social wisdom of all sorts to try to add more context to that data, make it more intelligible to people who aren't insiders, and to encourage engagement. So we built the site as sort of an alternative to Thomas, which a lot of you I'm sure know about, which is the Library of Congress's legislative website where you can read bills and get raw information on Congress. And it's a great site for that, but as a lot of you probably know, it's a really outdated site. The technology is like 10 years old. It's also really flat. Like when you're looking at a bill, you have no idea if a million people are looking at that and it's influeing the debate, it's a viable bill that might pass, or if it's something that is marginal and only 10 people are looking at it. There's just no human element to the site. So if you're not already an insider, there's not really much you can do with that information. So one way we try to solve that problem is that we rank bills by what are being written about most in the news and in the blogs, and also a lot of other ways too on the site, like just what's being viewed the most on the site. And those are actually really interesting places to look to get sort of a better or a different picture of what's going on in Congress. Like looking at, for example, the difference between what bills are being written about a lot in the news versus what's being written about a lot in the blogs will show you, I mean, there's always a story there. There'll be a bill that is bubbling up, getting tons of blog coverage, but hasn't had any coverage in the news. And that's something that people should be looking at and trying to figure out why there's that energy around that specific thing. Maybe it's like false information that should be debunked, or maybe it's valid and we should be amplifying that and trying to bring it out more to the mainstream. So yeah, a lot of what we do is kind of following the trends of where the interest is in Congress. So what information people are looking for, what questions people have. So we cover issues like, recently we had a kind of a surge in interest in a bill that was going to ban Python ownership. So we had just tons of Python owners coming to the site, trying to get information on that. They hadn't, probably a lot of them had never really tried to influence Congress, or didn't even know how to like get the basic information. So we, blog about it, tried to tell them what was going on with that bill, tried to give them a sense of how they can get the information they need, answer their questions, and what kind of advocacy made sense for them. And I think it's, it's basically, I think it's really important to give people like that are, for the first time, sort of trying to interface with Congress, to give them a good experience, because we want them to be coming back to engaging in Congress continually. We don't want to turn them off from their first experience. Because basically civic engagement is good for fighting corruption, it's good for democracy, it makes better voters, and it's personally gratifying. So that's why we focus a lot on for first-time users and where the interest is, not necessarily inside of Congress or in the media, but from the mainstream and real-world people.